Welcome to today's Next Stop to Zero educational series breakout event. Today we'll be focusing on becoming familiar with zero-emission vehicle or ZEV terminology, provide a basic technology overview, and then touch on how to use this information as well as available resources to choose a vehicle that's right for your needs. My name is Stephen Toft and I'll be your host today. Today we'll be covering the following: available online resources, primarily CARB's zero-emission vehicle website and a resource hub, zevtruckstop, basic ZEV terminology to be familiar with, some information about battery electric vehicle technology, some information about hydrogen fuel cell technology, and how to choose a vehicle that's right for your needs. We'll also cover the steps to take next and how to go about taking them. Much of today's information can be found on our ZEV information website known as zevtruckstop, the web address for which is on the screen currently, arb.ca.gov/zevtruckstop, all one word, or you can scan the displayed QR code. This resource will have many subpages of helpful information related specifically to zero-emission vehicles and CARB's zero-emission regulations. But today's presentation will be focusing mainly on the information on the ZEV 101 Get Up to Speed page. Please keep in mind that as I cover terminology and other information, you will be able to visit the zevtruckstop, the ZEV 101 page to review that same information at your leisure. When navigating CARB's many web pages, you'll always know you're on a truck stop page because at the top of the page will be the blue zevtruckstop logo for the zero-emission version displayed on the screen currently, or the yellow logo for the diesel version of truckstop. So you'll see right up here we have a banner on every truck stop page that will have the zevtruckstop or yellow diesel truck stop logo. Scrolling down, you can see the page that I mentioned, ZEV 101 Get Up to Speed, but we also have information about incentives and funding, the Advanced Clean Fleets Regulation, our Next Stop to Zero educational events like the one you're watching right now, tools to see what vehicles are available on the market currently, the Cal Fleet Advisor page that we're going to talk about later, other zero-emission regulations, infrastructure information, and then Sustainable Fleets, which is a program for gaining recognition for fleets that are making the transition to zero-emission vehicles. And then at the bottom of the screen, we have other popular resources and tools. On the homepage of zevtruckstop is a link titled ZEV 101 Get Up to Speed. This page is where you will be able to find most of the information and resources to get yourself started and contains much of the information we'll be discussing today. So if you want more information, you want to refresh yourself on what you've learned here, or if you want to share what you've learned here today with others, this is where you'll want to go. We also update this page frequently as new resources become available, so frequently check this page and other zevtruckstop pages that you'll find helpful. We'll be going over the different things that are on this page, but right off the bat, you can see that we start off with the zero-emission terms to know, which I'm going to talk about in a moment. And then we have information on battery electric vehicle 101, hydrogen fuel cell electric vehicle 101, California's plans for zero-emission vehicles, and then the steps to transition that we'll talk about at the end of today's presentation. So first, we're going to talk about some basic terminology. On the screen, you're going to see a list of a lot of terms, and some may be familiar to you already, or they may all be new to you. We're going to be using these terms today, and you're going to see them a lot in the future. So I want to take a minute to go over them. I won't go over all of the terms, as this is a lot of terms to cover, but we'll go over a few of them because I'll be using them a lot today, and they aren't quite as to decipher as some of the other ones. As a more quick reminder, most of these terms and their definitions can be found on our zevtruckstop ZEV 101 page under zero-emission terms to know. So kilowatts. Kilowatts are the measure of electrical energy that's equal to 1,000 watts. This unit of measurement is commonly used throughout ZEV charging and operation space. Using a water pipe analogy, kilowatts refer to how much water or energy is flowing through a pipe at any point in time. Kilowatts can also be converted to horsepower as a measure of power, where 1 kilowatt equals 1.34 horsepower. Kilowatt hour is the measure of how much electrical energy flows over 1 hour. So using that same water pipe analogy, you can think of kilowatt hours as the equivalent to how much water comes out of the pipe and into a bucket in 1 hour. The size of a ZEV battery is measured in kilowatt hours, which describes the total energy capacity. Usable battery capacity is 100 kilowatt hours, and the vehicle gets 2 miles per kilowatt hour, then the range would be 200 miles per charge. Kilowatt hour is equal to kilowatts times the number of hours. Charging as a Service, or CAAS, is a comprehensive turnkey solution that may provide BEV charging equipment installation, software, maintenance, and driver support in exchange for a monthly payment. Trucking as a Service, or TAAS, is a turnkey solution that provides trucks or other vehicles on demand for a fee paid by those who need them, often in the form of leasing. Typically, maintenance and any other needed repairs are provided, as may be services such as charging. Please remember most of these terms and their definitions can be found on our zevtruckstop ZEV 101 page under Zero Emission Terms to Know. There are also links to other resources detailing terminology at the bottom of that page. You can see we have all the definitions written out here. And then at the bottom of the page, we have links to more terminology information if you're interested in that. Next up, we'll be giving basic overviews of the two most common types of currently available ZEV technology: hydrogen fuel cell electric and battery electric. Hydrogen fuel cell vehicles. How does hydrogen refueling work? Like all electric vehicles, fuel cell electric vehicles, also known as FCEVs, use electricity to power an electric motor. In contrast to other electric vehicles, FCEVs produce electricity using a fuel cell powered by hydrogen, rather than drawing electricity from an off-vehicle battery charger. FCEVs are fueled with pure hydrogen gas stored in a tank on the vehicle. Like conventional internal combustion engines, or ICE vehicles, they can fuel in about 20 minutes and can expect ranges all the way up to 500 miles. Medium and heavy-duty FCEVs can be fueled by finding a public station that is accessible for larger vehicle types. Not all vehicle types will have room to access fueling at every available hydrogen station. Mobile hydrogen fuelers, where liquefied or compressed hydrogen and dispensing equipment is stored on board a trailer, are also available today to support the expansion of hydrogen infrastructure. Many large fleets have on-site fueling infrastructure for diesel or gas, and hydrogen can work similarly. Some hydrogen stations store hydrogen on site, like conventional fuel stations. Others produce hydrogen on site through electrolysis, converting water and electricity to hydrogen, and then storing it on site. And you can review this information and more, of course, on the Hydrogen Fuel Cell Electric Vehicle 101 page. This page also has other resources available, such as hydrogen station maps displaying locations statewide, fuel cell FAQs, resources detailing more benefits of hydrogen, and links to information about hydrogen incentives and funding opportunities. So what are the benefits of hydrogen fuel cell electric vehicles over other vehicle types? A hydrogen fuel cell electric vehicle emits only water vapor and warm air, is considered a zero-emission vehicle, although the production of hydrogen itself may generate emissions affecting air quality, depending on where it's sourced. Hydrogen fuel can be produced domestically from many sources such as natural or renewable gas, solar energy, wind, hydro, and biomass. When used to power fuel cell electric vehicles, hydrogen fuel can help strengthen national energy security, conserve fuel, and diversify our transportation energy options. Hydrogen refueling is faster than charging battery electric vehicles. Refueling times can be as low as 10 minutes, and the refueling process is nearly the same as fueling with compressed natural gas, or CNG. Similarities to conventional refueling make transitioning from conventional fuel types to hydrogen fuel cells more adaptable for some users. Hydrogen fuel cell technology can handle tough conditions, including cold environments as low as 40 degrees Fahrenheit below zero, weather environments like hurricanes, deserts, and winter storms. Hydrogen fuel cell electric vehicles are safe. There's not been a single confirmed case of an FCEV accident because of leaking hydrogen. Unlike conventional fuels, hydrogen is non-toxic. It disperses quickly when released into the air, has lower risk of secondary fire, and is less explosive. Hydrogen fuel cell vehicles have a lower operational cost when compared to ICE vehicles and even BEVs. BEV stands for battery electric vehicle, as they do not have the need to charge, change, or manage batteries, which can reduce labor, time, space, peak power demands, and reduce vehicle downtime. They're also much simpler to maintain than ICE vehicles. They also have the potential for shared fueling. They have a faster refuel time compared to battery electric vehicles, and this can help with field service trucks parked at employees' homes, small businesses having more flexibility with where to locate their business due to not needing to install their own infrastructure, and for slip seating operations where the fast fill allows fast turnarounds for continuous operation. So what are the limitations of hydrogen fuel cell electric vehicles? Well, upfront costs for hydrogen fuel cell electric vehicles are currently higher than conventional vehicles, although a combination of declining costs, incentives, and innovative financing models can lower these upfront investments and reduce their impact. CARB is currently prioritizing financial incentive projects that will help ease adoption of all zero-emission vehicles. For example, the Hybrid and Zero-Emission Truck and Bus Voucher Incentive Program, also known as HVIP, offers point-of-sale discounts for zero-emission trucks and buses by working directly with dealers to apply that incentive at the time of purchase. Hydrogen fueling infrastructure availability is important to consider when deciding to deploy an FCEV. There are currently 52 hydrogen fueling retail stations open to the public in California today, with a majority located in larger cities and metropolitan areas. Many stations may be suitable for medium-duty trucks to fuel, while 4 stations are specifically designated for heavy-duty vehicle fueling. There are programs to expand hydrogen infrastructure, and we'll talk more on that in a moment. The hydrogen fuel production process is complex, and the high price of hydrogen today makes fuel cell vehicles more costly to operate. With new manufacturer requirements going into effect and more investment in the zero-emission market, the outlook is positive for an increase in fuel cell technology availability at a lower cost. As vehicle production increases, prices will fall. The state of California is working to build 200 new hydrogen refueling stations by 2025, with plans for 13 of those to offer fueling for heavy-duty vehicles. The California Energy Commission has recently rolled out a new program offering energy infrastructure incentives for zero-emission commercial vehicles. This is known as the Energize Commercial Vehicles Program. The program will provide incentives for new electric charging and hydrogen fueling infrastructure projects to support fleets. Low Carbon Fuel Standard, or LCFS program, is also incentivizing the increase in hydrogen fuel availability. The program creates a potential funding stream for fueling infrastructure through a market-based system of tradable credits for clean fuel production. The U.S. Department of Energy has also launched a new program, Hydrogen Shot, to kickstart cost reduction and ramp up hydrogen production. This work and the increase in hydrogen fuel cell vehicle adoption will help to greatly increase the widespread availability of hydrogen fuel stations. Safety considerations. A common sentiment surrounding hydrogen tends to be concern regarding its safety. While hydrogen does have some safety hazards, when handled appropriately, it's actually a material that's safer than conventional fuels like gasoline or diesel. Hydrogen is non-toxic, non-carcinogenic, only produces water vapor upon combustion, is substantially lighter than air, which allows it to disperse rather quickly, and has a much higher oxygen percentage requirement for explosion than gasoline or diesel do. Learn more about hydrogen safety myths in the resource section of the Hydrogen Fuel Cell Electric Vehicle zevtruckstop page. Let's move on to battery electric vehicles, or BEVs. We're going to spend a bit more time on battery electric vehicles because, as I noted earlier, they tend to be more complicated and have a higher learning curve, steeper learning curve than hydrogen vehicles do. Much like conventional vehicles, BEVs need to be regularly refueled, but instead of refueling with the gas pump, BEVs need to be plugged into an electric energy source or charging equipment. The amount of time needed to charge depends mostly on the power output of the outlet or charging station, as well as the vehicle's ability to receive a charge. The higher the station's output or voltage rating, typically the faster the charging. But that depends on a few factors that we'll discuss in a bit. Electric vehicle chargers are classified into three categories with varying voltage ratings. Level 1 charging uses 110, 120 volts. The Level 2 uses 208, 240, and a DC fast charger uses at least 200 volts, with the maximum increasing as technology improves. There are even more powerful DC fast chargers that offer megawatt charging up to 1250 volts, but these are currently being built out for wider availability and are not as common yet. Numerous manufacturers produce chargers with a variety of products and varying prices, applications, and functionality. Battery electric vehicles also have varying battery capacity, which will also play a part in how long charging will take. In general, the higher the battery capacity, again measured in kilowatt hours as we discussed earlier, that a vehicle's battery contains, the faster charging may also be, and the further the vehicle's range will be, although many limiting factors need to be considered. For example, temperature can play a part in the speed at which batteries charged. There are also ways to maximize the usage of a BEV by using smart charging techniques to minimize the charge downtime. For example, a BEV doesn't charge at a constant rate, it fluctuates during the charge and generally charges faster up to a certain percentage. Charging rates are faster at the beginning of the charge compared to when the battery gets closer to 100% capacity. Therefore, many BEV operators may choose to stop charging at 80% or 90% instead of a full 100% charge to spend their time more efficiently. It is also optimal for long-term battery life that the charge stays at or under 80%. Commercial BEVs can also be charged at privately owned power sources, which could be a garage at a residence or at a facility's parking lot, known as depot charging. They can also be charged at a public power source or charging station. This strategy usually involves charging a BEV in the middle of a vehicle's route using a DC fast charger, usually ending the charging process before the battery is completely full. There are also products available today to offer mobile charging options to fleets, with more manufacturers exploring these options all the time. Every BEV owner will need to consider their charging strategy based on their available resources, and they should work with their local energy utility early in the planning process to determine what will work best. BEVs currently use an array of charging connector types. Level 1 and Level 2 chargers typically use the same connectors, but DCFCs will use their own due to the larger current flowing through them, as will MCS, Megawatt Charging System connectors. Like our Hydrogen Fuel Cell 101 page, our Battery Electric Vehicle page will have more resources available on it if you want about charging. It will also have much of the information that I've covered today in the presentation. What are some of the benefits of battery electric vehicles? While upfront vehicle costs for BEVs are currently higher than conventional vehicles, the total cost of ownership is typically lower. Electricity costs for fuel are generally lower than conventional fuels, although the fuel economy of medium and heavy-duty BEVs is dependent on the load carried and the duty cycle. In the right applications, these vehicles maintain a strong fuel cost advantage over their conventional counterparts. Also, upfront prices are likely to decrease to match conventional vehicles as production volumes increase and battery technologies continue to improve. BEVs report higher fuel efficiency because electricity is fundamentally more efficient than conventional fuels. Additionally, frequent starting and stopping and elevation decline allows for BEVs to utilize regenerative braking systems. Regenerative braking is a technology available on most BEVs that captures the kinetic energy from braking and converts it back into electricity to be stored in the battery. In doing this, it also slows the vehicle, and many vehicles can be stopped entirely by using this feature. This can extend the range of a BEV significantly over the course of a long route or times between charges, and has the additional bonus of significantly reducing the wear and tear on conventional braking systems, resulting in money saved by prolonging brake life. Some manufacturers have reported fully loaded semis storing the full regen energy of descending the Grapevine or Baker grades with no friction or engine braking needed, just the regenerative braking, which has a lot of energy to save for the next portion of the journey. Electric motors also have far fewer moving parts and do not require oil changes, spark plugs, or fuel filters. Diesel doesn't have spark plugs, of course, but many other ICE alternatives do. And again, regenerative braking systems save wear and tear on conventional brakes. Using more energy-efficient vehicles is an important part of the United States' energy security and minimizes the need for imported oil. Also, the multiple fuel sources used in the generation of electricity results in a more secure and domestically generated energy source for the electrified portion of the transportation sector. BEVs produce zero tailpipe emissions, although the production of electricity may generate emissions affecting air quality. Drivers tend to experience a more responsive motor, a quieter ride, and less vibration. These vehicles typically also have great handling capabilities. The battery pack lowers the vehicle's center of gravity, providing superior weight distribution and stability, and improved cornering that minimizes rollover risk. But what are the limitations of battery electric vehicles? Many heavy-duty vehicle owners say that limited range is their number one barrier to BEV adoption. While this may be an issue with early models, there are commercially available battery electric heavy-duty trucks capable of driving over 200 miles on a single charge. A couple can even go 300 miles, and recently manufacturers have been reporting even longer distances with newly emerging technology, some up to 500 miles fully loaded over the Grapevine Pass in Cleveland National Forest I-15 grades on one charge. While excellent advancements, less expensive small batteries with lower ranges are still often ideal for urban deliveries, drayage, and other operations that do not require longer ranges. Additionally, new options for battery electric heavy-duty trucks capable of traveling longer ranges are being developed and are expected to reach the market soon. Upfront costs are currently higher for battery electric vehicles than for conventional vehicles, although a combination of declining costs, incentives, and innovative financing models can lower these upfront investments and reduce their impact. CARB is currently prioritizing financial incentive projects that will help ease adoption of zero-emission vehicles. For example, the HVIP program offers point-of-sale discounts for zero-emission trucks and buses by working directly with dealers to apply the incentive at the time of purchase. Battery prices remain a significant reason for the higher upfront cost of the battery electric vehicle. However, as the sales and production of commercial zero-emission vehicles increase, manufacturers will be able to provide battery producers with higher levels of demand and certainty, so battery pack prices are expected to decline across all types of vehicles. Battery electric trucks rely on electric charging infrastructure, which requires a shift for many owners in terms of measuring the range their vehicle can operate per charge and ensuring availability of charging locations. Vehicle owners may need to consider different charging strategies, and this will often require planning ahead of time. Installation of electric charging infrastructure may have site limitations, result in additional construction costs, and require substantial planning. Many fleet owners will need to utilize publicly available charging infrastructure, which is yet to be widely available. In order to address this, California has invested heavily in electrical utility infrastructure. The California Public Utilities Commission and the state's investor-owned electric utilities are working towards accelerating widespread transportation electrification by ensuring that electric rates make electric vehicle charging cheaper than fueling with gasoline or diesel. The California Energy Commission offers energy infrastructure incentives for zero-emission commercial vehicles, again known as the Energized Commercial Vehicles Program, and it provides incentives for electric vehicle charging and hydrogen refueling infrastructure to support these fleets. And again, the LCFS program, also known as the Low Carbon Fuel Standard Program, creates incentives and a potential funding stream for electric charging infrastructure through a market-based system of tradable credits for the clean fuel production. And you can learn more about those incentives by following the additional resource links on the Battery Electric Vehicle 101 zevtruckstop page. I'd like to spend a bit more time addressing some of the BEV concerns and limitations because, again, BEVs are so different than conventional fueling and planning strategies. There are ways around some of these limitations and differences that are less obvious, but they're worth addressing. Things that can help overcome some of these limitations include developing a charging schedule to take advantage of charging during off-peak hours to minimize fueling costs. Taking advantage of opportunity charging can help maximize how much charge a vehicle will have by taking advantage of any downtime. Charging while loading or unloading a box van, for example, is an excellent way to take advantage of opportunity charging. Remember that there are many differences and approaches to BEVs. Having full batteries is not always the goal the way having a full tank of diesel might be. Batteries don't charge at the same rate the entire time. It can be far faster and more efficient to charge from 40% to 80% capacity than from 80% to 100%. Taking advantage of opportunity charging and planning your route to ensure your battery will be at a more efficient charging level when you need to charge can actually net you more overall total charge on your route with much less downtime. Also, as with hydrogen, a lot is being done to invest in future infrastructure for BEVs as well, including from private industry. Greenlane and Daimler are setting up a $650 million investment into charging infrastructure. Volvo Trucks announced a California electrified charging corridor project for medium and heavy-duty electric vehicles with locations at several Volvo Trucks dealerships in Central and Northern California, including TEC Equipment Oakland, TEC Equipment Dixon, Western Truck Center in Stockton, and Affinity Truck Centers in Fresno and Bakersfield, serving as an extension to chargers already available at the TEC Fontana and TEC La Mirada locations in Southern California. Terawatt is electrifying the I-10 corridor here to Texas. Hyundai and partners announced developments of a hydrogen corridor from California to Texas, and Tesla has requested federal funding to support their DC fast charger corridor development from Fremont, California to Laredo, Texas. Let's talk a bit about charging efficiency. Lots of factors can affect charging efficiency, and charging efficiency can mean different things to different fleets, vehicles, or scenarios. We've talked about charging efficiency a bit, and we've touched on a few of those scenarios, but there are others. So battery capacity. The larger the capacity, typically the longer it's going to take to charge. At the charger level, the faster the charger, the faster your battery will charge, typically, but only up to as much as your battery and vehicle can take. Just because a DC fast charger that's coming out might have the capability to charge at 350 kilowatts doesn't mean your vehicle can necessarily take a charge that powerful, and this is something to pay attention to when shopping for a vehicle. On the flip side, it can be easy to overestimate your needs and assume you need the fastest charge available, while your actual need would be more than met with something less powerful and less expensive. If you're charging overnight, there may be no need to have such a fast charger if your vehicle's downtime is going to be the same either way. Charger output rate. Again, typically the higher the output rate, the faster the electric vehicle is going to charge, but that'll vary as well based on the vehicle's charging max power rate that we just went over, and also the battery charge level. A battery that's at 20% capacity will usually charge at a much faster rate than a battery at 90% capacity. And this is known as the charging curve. And I'll talk a bit more on that in a moment, but because of this, it may be more efficient to charge the vehicle to 80% rather than all the way to 100%, and then charge it periodically during use through opportunity charging or downtimes like mandatory breaks and lunches. Charging a battery 3 or 4 times a day to 80% can take less time than charging it to 100% once or twice, while still resulting in the same or greater overall range. So things like access to chargers and downtime available to spend at chargers can be enormous factors in what is most efficient for your specific battery needs and vehicle uses. Other external factors such as ambient temperature and battery temperature can also have a large impact on charging times. The battery has to be cooled while it charges, and if temperatures are hot enough, some of the power from the charger is used to keep the battery cool rather than to charge it, and this will affect overall charge times. The same can be said for the inverse. In cold climates, some of the electricity is going to be used to warm the battery up. So I mentioned something called the battery charging curve, where I explained that EV batteries don't charge at constant rates for the entire charge duration. The on-screen depiction of this charging curve illustrates a basic and general depiction of this fact. You'll notice that the charging rate, depicted by the vertical axis on the left, caps out early in the charge time and then decreases drastically after 80%. You may also notice that the vehicle in this depiction hits 80% battery capacity about halfway through the total charge time, showing what a drastic drop in charging efficiency that there can be after 80%. This is why, as I mentioned earlier, it can be much more time efficient to charge a vehicle to 80% multiple times rather than to 100% once or twice. In addition to the many factors that can affect how fast a battery can charge, there are factors that affect how far a battery can take you. Route conditions and topography can be a big factor, just as with conventional fuels. Like a particularly hilly route is going to affect the overall range of a vehicle. Also, like with conventional fuels, vehicle speeds can impact your vehicle's range as well, though not in the way you typically experience with conventionally fueled vehicles. With conventional fuels, traveling at lower speeds tends to be less fuel efficient, but with BEVs, lower speeds down to a point tend to be more fuel efficient. So situations that would typically negatively affect fuel efficiency in a diesel vehicle, such as stop and go traffic, waiting at rest stops, general idling, don't have nearly the same negative impact on a BEV's battery. The only few things drawing power in these scenarios would be AC or heater use, radio entertainment, lights, and other low energy applications. If the motor's not in use, the motor's not drawing power, unlike an idling internal combustion engine vehicle. Weather and AC heater use affect range. As we discussed earlier, there are optimal temperatures for batteries to charge and retain their charge. Both hot and cold weather can have adverse effects on the range a battery can provide. Cold weather, because unlike conventional vehicles that use heat produced by the engine to heat the cabin, heaters and BEVs are electric and draw from the battery. The same is true for hot weather conditions. The AC draws its power from the battery as well to cool the cabin, in addition to the battery itself. Other things like driver habits, load, weight, wind conditions, and tire conditions and pressure will affect range and fuel economy in similar ways to conventionally fueled vehicles. Arguably, three of the biggest factors affecting range that you or your drivers have some degree of control over include driver habits, route planning, and taking advantage of opportunity charging. We already talked about how cabin AC and heater use can affect vehicle range by pulling extra power from the battery, and we've discussed how route topography and conditions can also affect range. But other drivers' habits, such as utilizing regenerative braking on those hilly routes or conservative acceleration practices, can have great beneficial effects on range as well. We've mentioned opportunity charging quite a few times today, and that's because it's one of the easiest and most straightforward methods of extending range. For vehicles that will have some amount of expected downtime, like loading and unloading at stops, sitting idle during lunch or other breaks, or performing service requirements, when available, taking advantage of opportunity charging can extend vehicle range by topping off the charge a bit, especially when used in conjunction with the proper route planning that keeps the battery at optimal charge levels to maximize charge speeds and efficiency between opportunity charging locations. There are apps and online services available to help you plan your route, helping not only to see publicly available chargers, but also the distance between them. You can customize your results based on how much range your vehicle has, what range between chargers you're comfortable with covering, what type or level of charger, and even cost and connection types. So if choosing to go battery electric, how does one determine their actual charger needs? By taking everything we discussed today and applying those lessons to the decision-making process. So let's recap. Again, the fastest, most powerful chargers are not always the best chargers or the right chargers for your needs. Determining how much downtime a vehicle will have for charging, how many opportunities throughout the day or route it will have for opportunity charging, the availability of depot charging, and the daily range a vehicle will go are all factors that can determine how powerful or how many charges you may need. There are online tools and resources available to help, as well as services offered to provide personalized strategies for determining what will work best for your needs. You will also need to determine if you want to rely on public charging infrastructure, invest in your own private infrastructure, or use charging as trucking as a service. All of these can be valid options depending on your fleet needs. Public charging has a far lower upfront cost and zero infrastructure investment to worry about, but you'll still need to do other work up front like route planning and determining what needs your vehicle has. If you want to take the private charging approach and invest in your own infrastructure, you'll want to get started early and work with your utilities as soon as possible to determine costs and project timelines. If you want to take the private charging approach but don't want to or can't invest in charging infrastructure, charging as a service may be a valid option for you. Remember from our terminology truck stop page and slide that charging as a service is a comprehensive turnkey solution that may provide battery electric vehicle charging equipment, installation, software, maintenance, and driver support in exchange for a monthly payment. There are a few common myths that tend to circulate that you've likely heard or read, and we want to address a couple of the most common ones. First, a very common myth is that BEVs can't yet meet range demands for most medium or heavy-duty vehicle uses. However, most trucks and vans operate less than 100 miles today, and as we've discussed, charging options and strategies can vastly lengthen the range a battery electric vehicle can go per day. Technology is constantly improving, and vehicle range is getting longer and longer. Another common myth is that there aren't enough commercial BEVs on the market. Well, right now there are more than 135 different models of vans, trucks, and buses that are currently available for purchase, and we're going to be discussing some of the tools for locating these vehicles shortly. We've mentioned charging strategies a bit, but I want to talk about them a little bit more because there are a few factors that go into determining the most appropriate battery electric vehicle for your needs. Determining the optimal battery size involves determining acceptable trade-off between the largest possible battery and the relative costs of that decision. And cost can mean financial cost. Bigger batteries typically means a longer range and costs more money. But a bigger battery also means more weight, which can mean reduced maximum payload. If you have a vehicle route of 100 miles a day, a 200-mile battery may be available. But obviously, a 150-mile vehicle may be all you need. That scenario is pretty straightforward. However, if that vehicle's route allows it to take advantage of the opportunity charging strategy along the route, you may not even need a battery with the full 100-mile range. For example, if your route has stops where chargers are available for use during planned downtimes like loading or unloading, breaks, lunch, etc. In this scenario, you may be able to cut your battery range in half down to 75 miles, potentially saving entry costs and improving maximum payload. Similarly, choosing the right charger speed requires considerations. While a very fast DC fast charger of 750 kilowatts may theoretically charge a 200 kilowatt hour battery from 20 to 80% in a little over 10 minutes under ideal conditions, it might be extremely excessive for your vehicle needs. This charger would be very expensive compared to lower power chargers, and unless your vehicle only has about 15 minutes per day to charge at your facility, it's probably a completely unnecessary expenditure. If your vehicles stay parked overnight, utilizing the depot charging and planned downtime strategy, a far more affordable option would be to install multiple 20 kilowatt level 2 chargers that could charge the same battery the same amount in about 7 hours. This could allow for more chargers to be installed and operate at the same time. Now that you know what to consider when choosing a vehicle, I'd like to discuss what resources are available to you to take the next steps. Our zevtruckstop partners page has resources for not only getting started with these different approaches, but to help you tap into other resources you might find helpful. California Energy Commission is the state's primary energy policy and planning agency. They support strategic regional planning to support adoption of zero-emission vehicles. They invest in the charging infrastructure and technologies that are helping to drive the transition to clean zero-emission electric vehicles throughout the state. Working with local utilities like SoCal Edison, PG&E, SDG&E, SMUD is critical for those looking to understand potential infrastructure build-out requirements and available incentives for those going battery electric. Several utilities have programs dedicated to assisting with the transition to zero-emission commercial vehicles. GoBiz, the Governor's Office of Business and Economic Development, serves as the state of California's leader for job growth, economic development, and business assistance efforts. GoBiz offers consultation for incentives, site selection, compliance, and investment assistance. They also cultivate opportunities to accelerate zero-emission vehicle market growth. CalStart is a national nonprofit working to build a high-tech clean transportation industry. They collaborate with companies and agencies to create jobs, cut out air pollution and oil imports, and curb climate change. California Air Districts are responsible for the regional air quality planning, monitoring, and stationary source and facility permitting. The districts administer air quality improvement grant programs and are CARB's primary partners in efforts to ensure that all Californians breathe clean air. Multi-State ZEV Task Force, known as NESCM, which stands for Northeast States for Coordinated Air Use Management, is a task force that acts as a forum for state coordination, collaboration, and information sharing on market-enabling actions, research, and technology developments. There's a QR code on the screen for the relevant zevtruckstop page. If you want to just scan that code and go directly to that page, you can do that. Or I'll just show you how to navigate to it from the zevtruckstop homepage. If I go back to the zevtruckstop homepage, and I scroll down on the homepage, the partners page is located right here under popular resources, where you can find more information about all of the different entities that I just went over. We spent quite a bit of time on battery electric vehicles simply because there's so much new information to learn about them compared to hydrogen. But let's take a step back and recap the things to consider about both hydrogen and battery electric when determining the right vehicle technology for your needs. A few questions to help you get started thinking about the two currently available ZEV technologies include determine range needed, utilizing the charging strategies we went over. Can you return to the yard nightly? Do you make frequent stops? Or do you drive long distances? Are you within a reasonable distance to hydrogen refueling stations? Is it possible to install your own charging or refueling infrastructure? Is charging as a service an option for you, or trucking as a service? There are tools and services available to assess needs and assist with this decision. And we're going to talk about those shortly. One of the most powerful tools can be found both on the zevtruckstop homepage and the Steps to Transition page, and it's the Cal Fleet Advisor. Cal Fleet Advisor is a service to help you develop a custom plan for your fleet. They can assign you a personal advisor case manager to help you determine your fleet needs, find appropriate vehicles, acquire the necessary infrastructure permits, and develop a custom plan specific to your fleet. Their website also has helpful tools to help you locate funding incentive options, calculate the total cost of ownership for a vehicle, has an inventory catalog of HVIP funding qualifying vehicles, as well as an inventory tool to help you find Class 2B to Class 8 vehicles in the United States and internationally. They will also soon be offering route planning services, so make sure you check back soon for that. We'll cover a bit more about some other resources to help find vehicles in a moment as they appear on other zevtruckstop pages, but I wanted to touch on this resource now because it offers so many additional services that suit many different needs and steps along the path to transitioning to ZEVs. To get to this resource from our zevtruckstop homepage, you just scroll down to this icon here, Cal Fleet Advisor. Like I said, it's also on the Steps to Transition page that I'll go over in a moment. But this is the quickest way to get there from our zevtruckstop homepage. Once you load this page, you'll notice there are different ways to navigate it, but you can see right off the bat what services they offer by clicking on services in the top. You can see they offer case management services by assigning you a personal advisor that helps you navigate any barriers. They can give you a customized resource packet specific to your fleet and your needs, and that includes things like potential fuel savings, ZEV models that might be perfect for you, utility resources, charging options, regulatory and safety and compliance information. And then they can also refer you to approved dealers and vehicle manufacturers, funding programs, insurances, leasing and financing, and private consultants. They have HVIP case support, so anyone who's trying to take advantage of that incentive, they are going to be very helpful for that. Then they also offer other resources. They have the zero-emission technology inventory, or ZETI tool, which we're going to talk about soon. They also have a funding finder tool to find funding that's applicable to your situation. And they have a total cost of ownership tool that can help you calculate out costs. And then the HVIP catalog, which we're going to talk about in a minute as well. It's a catalog that shows you a list of Class 2B to 8 zero-emission vehicles that are all eligible for the HVIP funding program. There are plenty of tools available on our zevtruckstop website to help you choose the right vehicle as well. We've created a list of 9 steps that will help you make the transition to ZEVs, each step with relevant resources and helpful videos linked below. For today, we're focusing primarily on step 4, which is how to choose a vehicle. There's a QR code on the screen for the relevant page, so if you want to scan that code, go ahead, but I'm also going to show you how to navigate to it from the zevtruckstop homepage and show you where the choose a vehicle step can be found. Back up here to zevtruckstop homepage, and we go to Zev 101 Get Up to Speed, which is the same page we've been visiting a lot today, as it covers everything that we've discussed. If you scroll down, the last link here is going to be Steps to Transition. Click on Learn More. And you'll see that if we scroll down to step 4, it's how to choose a vehicle. We've got other resources here for helping you do that, and we're going to go over a few of them. We also have a zevtruckstop ZEV market page, which is accessible from the ZEV homepage. It provides multiple resources for finding medium and heavy duty ZEVs and learning more about them. There are currently over 135 models available, with more releasing each year. This page will provide you with the tools you need to locate and compare them, helping you determine what vehicles may be suitable for your needs. And I'll show you how to navigate here from the zevtruckstop homepage as well. A lot of these tools are going to be available in other places on the zevtruckstop homepage, but we've also grouped them all specifically to make that easier to find. And it's all under right here. Zero emission trucks are here. Review the ZEV truck market. So the first tool on this page, CalStart Zero Emission Technology Inventory Tool, or ZETI tool, and it's a tool that can be found at the address on the slide now, or can be accessed from the Cal Fleet Advisor page. It's also, of course, available from our Truckstop Zero Emission Market page that I just showed you, as well as under Step 4, How to Choose a Vehicle, on the Steps to Transition page that we also went over. This is a tool that's an interactive resource that helps you find zero-emission vehicles available to you. You can filter by region, fuel type, availability, vehicle platform or type, manufacturer, model, and it allows you to select multiple at once for comparison purposes. The tool also lets you know if the vehicle you've selected is eligible for certain incentive funding. So let's check that out. Takes a moment to load. We can see here we can choose what market we're in, and I'm going to keep it set to the default, which is US and Canada. And then I want to select fuel types. For our first vehicle, let's select electric. I want to see only ones that are available currently. Choose transit bus vehicle platform. You'll see that it filters out vehicle manufacturers that don't create that type of vehicle. I'm going to click see what Latenda has for us. You can see here on the left, you'll get a list of vehicle model names. Looks like they only have one vehicle model that performs this type of service. And you'll see a quick at-a-glance information here on the right. You can select up to 3 different models. So let's also select green power. And we've got a few different models here for the green power. Let's try to keep it relatively the same. So 30 feet. And let's see what BYD has. So I've got 3 different models selected here, and we can compare them. Looks like they are all 30 feet long. They all have a very similar range, and then they tells you the payload, 22 seats, 46 passengers, and then the energy capacity measured in kilowatt hours. It ranges from 215 up to 296. Tells you the first vehicle first year these vehicles were available, and then lets you know if what incentives they're eligible for. And if you want to learn more about those specific vehicles, they provide a link to the manufacturer website. Or if you want to start all over, you can click Reset Filters, or you can click these little X's to get rid of that information as well. There's also the HVIP catalog, and this is an excellent interactive online tool that indexes information of about 152 vehicles that have all obtained eligibility for HVIP funding. Similar to the ZETI tool, this catalog allows you to filter results by the weight, class, and type. And like the ZETI tool, it's available here on our Zero Emission Market page, but it's also available on our ZEV 101 page. Steps to transition, under step 4, choosing a vehicle, right here. There's also an embedded YouTube video here that you can watch that provides an overview of the HVIP catalog and other HVIP eligible specific vehicles. So let's click on that. Again, let's say I want to choose buses. You can see there are various filters here. You can filter by manufacturer, vehicle size, type, the technology type, so hydrogen or battery electric. Or you can just scroll down and kind of get information from at a glance. You can see that these little boxes provide the battery capacity, the fuel type, what class the vehicle is, the incentive amount, and if you click on one of them, get more information. Scroll down and you can see what model years are available. You can get information about the voucher incentives. You can get a buyer's guide, or if you already own this vehicle and are looking to sell it, they have tools to help you do that as well. And then at the bottom here, they have a map of approved dealers. And then similar vehicles that you can browse through to compare. You can get more information about this tool and its features again from this YouTube video that we've created for you that goes over this tool. So to recap, the CARB recommended 9 steps to transition include learn about ZEVs. You're already doing that as we speak. Today you've been provided with an overview of 2 ZEV technologies, ZEV terminology, steps to take, and considerations to make. And then you've been provided with and shown various interactive tools and online resources and services. More information about infrastructure, fueling, and incentive info can be found on the Steps to Transition page under this step. 2. Identify your fleet needs. A few questions to ask yourself include, how far do I typically drive my vehicle per day? Am I doing local deliveries and trips, maybe 50 to 150 miles a day? Or am I driving longer distances like regional or over-the-road work? Next, where and when do I have vehicle downtime? Is the vehicle coming back to a yard or depot after a day shift? Answering these questions on a vehicle-by-vehicle basis will help you decide what sort of vehicles you need to purchase and what type of fueling infrastructure and locations you'll need access to. Step 3, define your team and contact your utility if you're going to battery electric. Building a team is critical for success, and coordinating early is key. Potential team players include the fleet manager or owner, the electric utility, the dealer, the vehicle manufacturer, the charger manufacturer, a design or engineering firm or consultant, staff at any incentive programs you want to use, and the permitting agency or authority having jurisdiction. Working with your utility from the onset of the planning process is critical to understand potential build-out requirements, cost and development timelines, rates, demand charges, and incentives that they offer. And you can get access to some of these resources right here from our Steps to Transition page under this step. Step 4, choose a vehicle. This is where we spent a lot of our time today. According to CalStart's Zero Emission Technology Inventory Analytics, it's estimated there are over 150 Class 2B to Class 8 ZEV models commercially available or soon to be available in North America from multiple manufacturers in every vehicle weight class category. Most trucks and vans operate fewer than 100 miles per day, and many zero-emission configurations are currently available to serve that need. As technology advances, zero-emission vehicles will become suitable for more applications. Most major truck manufacturers have announced plans to introduce market-ready zero-emission trucks. Plan, timeline, and permitting. If you decide that you will need to build refueling infrastructure, it'll take time to plan, develop, and it may also take time to secure your new vehicle from the manufacturer. Full deployment of your project can take months or much longer depending on how large or complex the project is. Start early to help meet your desired timeline. Step 6. Plan for financing and apply for funds. Consider how you will finance the upfront cost of infrastructure and your new zero-emission vehicles. Some companies have capital constraints and may look at an energy as a service model where a third party pays the upfront cost to install all charging infrastructure, then charges the truck owner a monthly fee to use the equipment. Several incentive programs are also available to assist with upfront costs. You should consider also the low carbon fuel standard credits that can help reduce your total cost of ownership. And again, more information and resources are available right here. Step 7, build out the infrastructure. Infrastructure needs vary depending on fueling strategy, fleet size, technology used, charging equipment, access to the grid, and power demand. New battery electric charging equipment will vary in costs and depend on the required utility upgrades, transformers, trenching, conduit, station installation, charge management, and any energy storage or generation like solar. Step 8, ensure driver maintenance and staff training. New technology means new policies and procedures for the operators of the zero-emission vehicles. Including the operator early in the process and getting feedback is a good way to ensure a successful transition for your business. Step 9 is an optional step. Get recognized for your efforts. Join the free Sustainable Fleets program to earn recognition for achieving zero-emission vehicle targets, access resources to help achieve your sustainability goals, and get hired by a shipper that's committed to clean transportation. Once again, our Steps to Transition page has all of this information on it, as well as more resources to click on and videos to watch that should answer any questions that you may have, or at least provide you with the tools to find out those answers or get in touch with the people you need to communicate with. Again, this page is accessible from our ZEV 101 page, or Truckstop page, but you can also scan the QR code that's on the screen now. We hope today's presentation has been informative and helpful, and most of all has given you the tools you need to get started and take the next steps. If you ever have any questions about the materials presented here today or about finding resources, please visit the URL on the screen and or email the email address provided. Thank you for attending.